I think if Auburn loses this weekend, he's gone. Probably not immediately, but definitely by the end of the season. This weekend, I may have said this last week too, but this weekend is for sure a must-win. I mean, you can't lose to Ole Miss, Vandy, and keep your job.
I think if he loses to Vandy respectably and then wins out, he keeps his job.
But that's impossible. That's not gonna happen. We're thinking realistically here.
I don't know. I think a loss to Vandy is realistic in that he keeps his job, because I think Auburn peeks their head up and sees that there's not a whole lot of better alternatives out there this year.
Yeah, well, we had a discussion on the comments of my What Now post about just how attractive the Auburn job might be if it were to open. I had mentioned Jimbo Fisher as a potential candidate. Your official stance is that there's no way in hell Jimbo's coming.
Yeah, my official stance is that you would have to be on crack cocaine to believe that Jimbo Fisher would leave his job. Now, I do understand that he's making about $1.5 million less than Gene Chizik is right now. I just don't see Florida State letting him go. I think if it comes down to that, they'll give him an extension. And I think he could use this possibility to leverage some more money out of Florida State. But Jimbo's got the dream job. He's going to be in the top 5 in recruiting every year. He's going to be in the top 10 preseason every year. He's only got to win a BCS game every 4 or 5 years to keep his job. And it's just a dynasty sitting there by itself. Now, they're not at the same level as they were where they were winning national championships, but he's got a great job down there in Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on those points. And, you know, as I said on the blog, I think Auburn's the one that should be turning Jimbo down, because if you want somebody who can recruit well and not get it done on the field, well, you already got that.
Right.
So it's not that much of an upgrade. My thoughts, though, are that with this coaching search as compared to the one in 2008, Auburn is a much better program now than it was. You know, despite the fact that they have such a terrible record this season, you won the national championship 2 years ago.
But I don't think that means anything this year, because now you've got a very specific base of talent. You have speedsters on the outside, you have speedsters at the running back position, and you thought that you might have potential to have good offensive line, but you've got a young, bad offensive line, which means that in the years to come, if you don't have somebody in there to develop them, that just means you have bad players for a long time. I don't think the base is there for you to build off of. I don't think it's that attractive of a job.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Auburn has more talent now than it's had in a long time. If you look at the recruiting rankings, which are not gospel,
right.
we'll say that for sure, but Auburn has been in the top 10 basically for the last 3 years now, and you've got a lot of solid talent there. You just need somebody who can come in and develop it. But most of it's still young.
And it's really specific talent. It's for a system that not a whole lot of people run anymore. I mean, it's a spread system that's it's not gimmicky. It just has a lot of big play opportunities. You've got a lot of sweeps and reverses, play action for the big play. Jimbo likes the pro style. I don't think he could come in and have his offense in the next year or two. He would have to build on that. And why would he come in and build when he's got something going at Florida State?
Well, I think, realistically, Jimbo Fisher's probably not going to be the guy. In my mind, if Auburn does look to make a change, there are probably 2 guys that are going to get most of the press. One of them is Charlie Strong at Louisville,
right,
who I think would be an excellent fit. He's going to be an excellent fit for somebody.
Right.
I mean, he's going to be a great coach. But the other guy who's much more of a lightning rod, Bobby Petrino, who out of work right now, has ties to Auburn. He's a really unique guy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can hire Petrino this year. I think he's going to have to go down to a Division II, Division III before he can come back to D1, because he just needs to put some time and separation in between him and this controversy. I just think it's too soon.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I'm really torn on this one. Initially, I felt like hiring Bobby Petrino, I could no longer be an Auburn fan if that happened.
Right.
But then when you go 1-5, your feelings start to change about things, and now
you would have problems on the home front if you got Bobby Petrino, because when we had the girls on the show, you asked Emily specifically if she would be okay with Bobby Petrino coming to Auburn, and she said no.
Yeah,
so
but
you have some problems
all I have
there.
to do is just chant in her ear over and over again, 1-5, 1-5, 1-5, or however bad it may end up being.
That's true.
We'll see. Like I said, I'm still not convinced that he is a good option, but it's hard to argue that wherever he's been, he's had success. Maybe not the the type of top-of-the-mountain success that, Auburn fans really want now, but
he might have this year. You never know.
And the thing is that, a lot of people have said that Bobby Petrino has never had the talent to work with that he would have coming into Auburn right now. That's great at first, but what you have to worry about down the road is, why hasn't he had that talent? Is he not a very good recruiter?
Well, he started to get the offensive talent he wanted at Arkansas. I think he'll have talent, not his talent, but he could make that work in his system, I think. If he could get somebody like a Mosley, I don't think Frazier would work in his system, but maybe even a JUCO recruit that would come in and could run his type of offense. I think you've got the players on the outside who are explosive enough to get some big plays. Petrino probably could get the offensive going. The defense is still a problem. He's never been a defensive guy, so still, I think with all the baggage that he would bring in, I just think it would be worth more than Auburn's willing to put in to get Petrino in there.
Yeah, so a lot of things in flux right now. Quickly, let's talk about Auburn-Vandy this weekend. A 2-4 Vandy team is an 8-point favorite over Auburn. Pretty tough to swallow that one.
That just pretty much describes your year in a nutshell.
Honestly, I feel like Auburn's probably going to lose this one as well. Just the way Vandy matches up with Auburn, they got a pretty decent defense. You have another quarterback that can beat you in Jordan Rogers. Auburn just hasn't really given you a whole lot of reason to believe that they could even stop a Vandy right now.
Right. I think it'll be pretty close. I think Auburn kind of figured some stuff out against Ole Miss. I think they'll continue to build on that. I just think that defense for Vandy is pretty bruising. You've got a lot of finesse players on the Auburn offense. I think they're really going to smack them. I just don't think Auburn keeps up. I think it'll be close, 21-17, something like that. Auburn will miss a couple tackles and allow a big play here and there, and that'll be the difference in the game. I think Vandy wins 21-17.
Yeah, I mean, one thing Vandy did really well against Florida in a close game last week is they limited Jeff Driscoll's passing attack, which at this point, Jeff Driscoll a much better quarterback than anything Auburn can throw on the table, so that does not give you a lot of reason for confidence. The reason that Florida was able to have success was Jeff Driscoll is able to run the football along with Mike Gillisley, and that's something that baffles me to this point. If Kyle Frazier were able to go, if his injuries were to the point that he could play, I still believe he's probably the coach's number one option. But the thing with him is, why not let him run the ball? He's supposed to be a dual-threat guy. You've totally hamstrung him in that regard. If you can get him going, running the football, get Mason running the football, I think you give yourself a decent shot.
You do. Florida ran like 65% of the time against Vandy. I think that formula would work for Auburn. We've talked about it all year long. Line up in the I formation. Have a pounding lead blocker with the fullback, and just move people out of the way and run the ball up the middle, and then you'll break one to the outside every now and then. I think that's the formula for success. I don't think Auburn will do it.
Nah, I don't think so either. I'm going to take Vandy 31-17 in this one.
Okay.
We'll
Both
see.
Picking Vandy. Now, I got to say, I don't mind as much this week having the same picks as you when we went 7-3 last week.
Yeah, we didn't do terrible. We didn't do terrible. We'll have a full recap of the Pick 10 standings here on the other side of this short commercial break.
We're back, don't know what we're talking about. 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 We're back, here we go. No more commercials. Here we go. Always talking stuff. We're back, don't know what we're talking about, but we're back. Sweet. Time for the show.
Okay, we are back from commercial. Everybody that got paid needed to. And I wish I could make some kind of funny joke about the winner of the Pick 10 getting paid, but we all know that's not going to happen. So
that is the joke.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and run through the standings and see who hypothetically will be making that money at this point.
Okay, so we all know that the big event at the beginning of the year was Bama Fan going undefeated in his picks.
Yes.
Got him right to the top.
Uh-huh.
Well, he's kind of fallen back a little bit. Max 2011, who rose kind of out of nowhere to take the top spot, had a perfect week at 10-0 this week. So maybe that means that he falls back a little bit and lets some of us catch up. But right now, he's got a pretty commanding lead.
Yeah, we've seen 2 perfect weeks this year, which is almost like the trend in no-hitters in baseball. We've never seen that many up until recently. And Honestly, I'm blaming steroids.
Maybe we're in the dead ball era. Who knows?
Somebody's been talking to Lance about this. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we've got, of course, Max 2011 had a perfect week. We got 4 people at 8-2. We had a huge group at 7-3. Almost everybody else was at 6-4. We only had 2 people at 5-5. Some of the notables were Larry Baker. Again, had another good week at 8-2, which keeps launching him into the standings. He was back there with you 2 weeks ago. He is now tied for 4th at 45 wins over the season. Max 2011 is at 52 wins. Garrett Burke is coming strong with 48 wins. He's the closest. Then we got Bama Fan at 46. We got a group of a couple at 45. I'm at 43, kind of still within striking range, but I got to have some good weeks. You are sitting at 38-32, so you're still above 500. That's good. Last week helped you out a lot. And then Sport Illiterate, I've got to say, came on strong last week. First week of Pick'em, seven correct wins.
Yep, that's never too late to get in the game. There are links to join the Pick'em on pretty much everything we're associated with. Twitter, Facebook, our blog. We're all over the place.
Pretty much the easiest way to keep up with anything we're doing is going to be Twitter. If you find us on Output Our Cover, Facebook is linked with Twitter. Twitter is linked with Twitter. WordPress is linked with Twitter, our blog. So if you go to Twitter, you're going to find everything we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, the amount of technology involved in this show is just unbelievable sometimes.
We're so popular, we have to do all these things just to keep you involved.
Right, because we know if you had to go more than 10 minutes without thinking about us, times would be tough.
So, tough on everybody.
Yes, so another opportunity this week in the Pick 10. Not the greatest slate of games last week. This week, still not the best we've ever had, but there are some decent matchups. Auburn and Alabama, those games are both in the Pick 10 this week. Let's start with another SEC game here that is actually not going to be on the Pick 10. Georgia at Kentucky. Any chance that the Fighting Joker Phillips pull off an upset here?
No.
Okay.
No, Kentucky's awful. That's all that needs to be said.
All right, enough said there. Now we're moving on to the Pick 10 portion of your SEC lineup. LSU and Texas A&M. Probably a much better, closer matchup than people would have predicted earlier on in the season.
The spread's only 3.5 points.
Yeah. Texas A&M has looked very solid this year behind freshman phenom Johnny Manziel. Basically the antithesis of the type of quarterback play that LSU has gotten so far.
Exactly. They've been awful as far as quarterback's concerned. They just keep throwing their stable of running backs out there with that big offensive line and trusting their defense. And they haven't looked great, but they got 6 wins. They're 6-1. People are talking, and they just beat South Carolina, which I didn't think was going to happen. So they're still in the hunt. They're still a pretty good team, but I've been really impressed with Texas A&M and their offense, really moving the ball with a quicker pace. Their defense has actually stepped up and made some key plays. They're not a great defense. They're not going to keep you from scoring a bunch, but I don't think against this LSU offense that you have to be a great defense. You just got to stop the run.
Texas A&M struggled late last week against Louisiana Tech. They had a wild finish there. Kind of had the game in hand and let Louisiana Tech get back into it behind that magical Tony Franklin offense. But I don't know. I know Manziel has performed very well this season, but he is still a freshman, and LSU does still have an elite defense, and I think the LSU defense may be able to bring him back down to earth in this game. The question mark is, can LSU's offense do enough? But the things I saw in their game against South Carolina last week, they were able to get a lot of their different running backs involved. They have like 4 guys with different styles, and if they focus on that and let those guys do their job and not put the game on Mettenberger's shoulders, I think LSU has a pretty good shot to win this game. That's who I'm going with.
Okay. I think that Texas A&M with the atmosphere are going to be really hyped up. I think their defense is going to have 2 or 3 stops early, and A&M's quick strike offense is going to get maybe 10, 17 points out of it quickly. And I don't think LSU has the offense to come back from that kind of deficit. So I'm actually going with A&M. I'm going to call the upset.
Okay, all right. We'll see what happens there. The other SEC game we want to talk about in the Pick 10, South Carolina at Florida. This one may determine the East.
It could. Georgia's still got a chance. There could be a weird scenario where Florida beats South Carolina and then Georgia beats Florida. and then at that point, the team with the highest BCS ranking would win.